Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana Live. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, this afternoon, or this morning, whatever time it may be, wherever you are in the world. Tonight we're going to be talking about Microdrone 4.0 again. Now, just very quickly, thank you all for joining us. Great crowd in already. I really do appreciate it. Good to see Tony Norris. Great to see you. So I think this might be one of the first live shows you've actually been in the chat for, although you've done so much work on this campaign, far more than I have. So welcome, sir. It's great to see you here. I know a lot of the backers, especially those who've received refunds through the court system, will be pleased to see you here and have a lot of thanks. So a big shout out to Tony, frankly. Really do appreciate all your hard work, sir. So let's get into it, shall we? Since my last update back on September 15th, there's been a lot going on with the campaign, and I was keen to allow the campaign owner, Vernon Kerswell, and his fellow director, Ethan Zoo Kerswell of Extreme Toys Limited, enough time to really show what they're going to be doing to comply with the terms and conditions of their crowdfunding agreement with Indiegogo. Now, very quickly, for those of you who are new to this story, Microdrone 4.0 is a campaign set up on the crowdfunding site Indiegogo. The campaign owner, Vernon Kerswell, released a marketing video which promised to deliver a tiny drone, one that would fit in the palm of your hand, hence the micro name, capable of doing many things, including providing, and this is a phrase that it almost makes me cringe now, I've heard it so many times, providing buttery smooth footage normally associated with something akin to a DJI Inspire drone. Now, I'm not going to go over every step, and those that are interested in more information, there is a link in the description to the Microdrone 4.0 playlist. However, the original campaign video informed potential investors that the drone was production ready, and they only needed a further investment of $75,000 to move to full production. The campaign was successful in terms of funds raised and actually went past their goal by a couple of $1 million. So it was something which was certainly looking popular, frankly. However, this is pretty much the last sign of success you're going to find with this particular campaign. Indiegogo have a chart showing what stage a progress is at. So let me just bring up the Indiegogo page here and just show you what I'm talking about. Bear with me. Smooth shot. So if we go across to here to the story button. These 4 stages, as you can see here, are concept, prototype, production, and shipping. Once the project moves into production, the campaign owner, Vernon Kerswell, stated that the refund window had then closed. Now, once he had marked the project as such and closed the refund window, Vernon Kerswell then moved to change the specification of the drone to become heavier, have less flight time, halve the megapixel ability of the sensor, but still promised to deliver that drone by the end of 2019. Sooner, in some cases, there was actually a marketing email that went round promising a very early delivery date. These changes were made coincidentally after the refund window was closed, something you could view cynically, and very much where I feel a lot of the crux of the issue comes with on this campaign as opposed to other campaigns, from the point of view that it is actually misleading. So he has misled people into something, changed the specifications for no real reason. He's even joked on social media that he could have made the original spec sensor, but there's no reason to do it. Well, the reason to do it is you promised it. Now, what followed was years of misleading information and debunked claims from the campaign owner, which resulted in the backers uniting to send a letter to Indiegogo via Geeksvana to request the campaign was returned back to prototype. Now, this request was made due to the fact the claims that Mr. Kerswell made in interviews with Geeksvana. We had him on twice for an interview to put his side across, etc., that he was unable to provide refunds under his terms with IGG when the campaign is marked in production, and that he was unable to change the status. Surprisingly, when IGG acted to change the campaign back to prototype, Vernon actually seemed to know very little about it, frankly. And that isn't too much of a surprise when you bear in mind that Indiegogo confirmed that as part of their reasoning for moving it back into prototype stage that they couldn't actually reach the campaign owner to discuss progress. And without evidence of a production unit, they moved the whole campaign back to prototype. This is despite countless claims on social media and during other Geeksvana live shows, right up until the point where that happened, where Vernon Kerswell himself claimed that delivery was only weeks away. There is so much that I'm forced to leave out to ensure the show is not 5 hours long. So I recommend anyone that's interested in the backstory to go back and watch the previous content. There's plenty out there on social media as well. More recently, on September 4th, 2021, Indiegogo took to the campaign page to update the section themselves. And this is what they talked about. Again, let me just get this up on the screen very quickly. If we go to updates, you can see it is actually the last update on the page there. So as they state, this campaign has been brought to our attention by our backer community, who alerted us that they never received their perks. Campaign owners are required by our terms of use to fulfill their perks or issue refunds to backers. Due to evidence of unfulfillment of perks and lack of substantive response from the campaign owner, Indiegogo has conducted an investigation into this campaign. We followed our protocol for investigating unfulfilled campaigns, which could include requesting proof that the campaign owner has progressed towards fulfillment. We've also followed our protocol for enforcing unfulfilled campaigns, which could include any of the following based on the circumstances: banning the campaign owners from launching new campaigns, sending campaign owners to collections, and reporting campaign owners to law enforcement officials if we suspect malintent. Well, do we suspect malintent? At this point, the majority of the funds for the campaign have already been dispersed to the campaign owner, so Indiegogo is unable to refund all contributions made by backers. We share your disappointment and frustration here. However, we will be processing refunds from the funds that are not yet dispersed to the campaign owner. We'll be processing these funds in chronological order, so the order of the actual backer. Indiegogo was founded in 2008 with the mission to allow any entrepreneur or creator to find funding for any idea. Like many companies from that era, we've learned that platforms must play a bigger role in user protection. As a new Indiegogo team, we've taken a close look at how the landscape has changed and have a renewed commitment to trust and safety. Changes that reflect this commitment are already underway, and more will be launched on the platform. They have actually launched something fairly recently, actually, which I will mention soon. So that was the update that was basically put out there by Indiegogo themselves, essentially forced to take over the page and actually put that forward. So the campaign was indeed marked as suspended, and backers started to receive refunds from Indiegogo with the limited funds they still held. During a Geeksvana live stream to report this, and in comments on the Indiegogo campaign page itself, Vernon Kerswell claimed that this was an error. That's actually what he said. He said that Microdrone 4.0 was close to delivery, and they were in talks with IGG to reinstate the campaign. We're now at the beginning of November, and no such reinstatement has occurred. In fact, some rather concerning tactics actually seem to have been deployed by the directors of Extreme Toys Limited, which we'll come on to in just a moment. Firstly, we'd like to discuss some of our correspondence with Vernon Kerswell, which directly followed the suspension of the campaign. Now, in an email we sent on the 19th of September, a few days later, we put the following to Vernon. Please note that a long time ago, we informed Vernon Kerswell, let me take that off for a second so I can say this, we informed Vernon that all correspondence between us would be public record, and to not correspond with us unless he is happy with this. Part of the reasoning there is because of claims he made on social media that we then had to debunk, and the only way we could debunk that is by actually pushing that information back and making it public. Oh, here we go. So this is actually interesting. So we now have someone called Microdrone Support in the chat, and I wonder who that could be. And this actually, you couldn't have done things more perfectly, Vernon. I'm going to complete what I'm saying here. In this, now the email that we sent out to Vernon stated, this email is an opportunity for a right of reply in connection to a story being released shortly. In the recent Indiegogo update provided to backers on the MD4 campaign page, they state the campaign owners are required by their terms of use to fulfill the perks or issue refunds to backers. IGG also confirmed that refunds are being issued directly to backers from the remaining funds available. Hence, the backer numbers have fallen once again. In fact, we've received many confirmation from early backers of refunds being issued. During the Geeksvana live stream, you claimed that the suspension was a misunderstanding and that the situation would be resolved quickly. However, The status appears to be unchanged, and some days later, it is highly doubtful that IGG would expose themselves in legal terms by issuing refunds if they had not carefully considered their action. Please could you provide replies to the following numbered accordingly. Remember, this was sent back only a few days after the actual suspension happened. 1. Do you still maintain that the campaign should not be suspended? If so, could you outline the basis of this claim and provide information about legal action you must therefore be taking to resolve the dispute with IGG? Because bear in mind here, if Indiegogo are actually issuing refunds and the campaign owner feels that they shouldn't be because the campaign shouldn't be in suspension, then they're essentially giving away his money, and you would need to take legal action to stop that. Secondly, can you confirm that excuse me, frog in my throat. Can you confirm that as you are fully signed up to the terms of IGG and you're aware of their public statement regarding refunds, what steps have you taken in order to protect the remaining funds within Extreme Toys Limited to provide a maximum number of refunds? This request was also made by several backers immediately after the campaign was suspended, because of course, when we look back at this, when the not the wheels come off, because that's already happened, when the dust settles, it'll be interesting to see what steps at the point he knew the campaign was over and he was now legally obliged to offer refunds to everybody and to refund what he has equally amongst his backers. It's going to be interesting to see what steps were taken to protect those funds after that date. 3, can you please provide details of how you are opening refunds to backers and how you intend to carry them out? In terms of IGG, if they're returning funds now, you should also be doing the same. As stated above, only numbered answers will be published. This is mainly put in place because we would often get tirade emails just attacking us rather than answering the points. Thank you. The reply, which came back across from Vernon, was as follows. Microdrone 4.0 is our 4th generation product. We delivered our previous models and the majority enjoyed what we made. Not going by the Microdrone 3.0 campaign page, you wouldn't think that. We are not the only project that has experienced massive delays since the pandemic, and you will also see that Air Selfie, a fantastic little drone, has had an identical production which we have experienced. So this is, to me, again, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but this to me feels like almost, someone who robs a bank saying, well, someone else robbed a bank, so it's okay. Another campaign having the same issues is irrelevant, frankly. We have invested a proportion of funds into tooling and production, and it wouldn't be fair to offer refunds to some and not to others. The only way forward is to finish the drone or close the project. We're still passionate about Microdrone 4.0 and want to see this delivered to all our backers. To move forward from here requires agreement from everyone involved in the project, including you, because we cannot carry on if we keep being attacked. We will be updating backers once we have discussed this with Indiegogo. Again, this email was sent a very long time now, weeks ago, and no update has been forthcoming whatsoever, apart from them, like they have in the chat tonight, actually stating, we're going to provide an update. Interesting, isn't it, really? And also stating that it wouldn't be fair to offer refunds to some and not to others. Well, that isn't really your decision, unfortunately. The same as Indiegogo, it wasn't their decision. They had their set policy and they carried out those refunds. It's not your money anymore, frankly. I would like to point out at this point that all of our right of replies are sent to both directors using the email accounts Vernon provided for himself and fellow director Ethan. Now, we note with interest that the email address for Ethan is now returning as 550 unroutable address error, stating the address could not be found. We welcome any comments on this from the directors of Extreme Toys Limited, especially as during previous interviews, Vernon confirmed his fellow director was a pivotal member of the active team responsible for much of the day-to-day running of the business. So we'd love to hear from Microdrone support regarding that, frankly. So the reply did not mention anything about their refund policy, something which we have called into doubt many times before. It seems that only backers who take the campaign to things like small claims court actually end up getting a refund. This has been repeated many dozens of times now, and despite always putting as many roadblocks in place to those legal actions, including harassing and intimidating claimants, Vernon has yet to take any of the court claims into court itself to defend them. It could be argued that the level of proof he would have to provide, even in a civil case, would be impossible to provide. So confirmation that Vernon Kerswell claims that he was still in negotiations to reopen the campaign, and as such, refunds were still not open to backers. He did not confirm any steps he had or intends to take to protect the funds held by his company, which should now be, under the terms of his contract with IGG and the backers, be returned to the original investors. Now, following all this, there was a flurry of great news throughout the various social media groups following this story. These posts reported refunds occurring, and many of which did seem to be following the order of investment. So backers who were early investors started to get their refunds. Indiegogo stuck to their policy to refund in order of backing, which meant some people received a refund for the drone itself, but perhaps not for extras they purchased later on when the campaign owner offered them extras such as a controller and extra batteries. So essentially, if you're backer number one, when you then got the campaign through to say, hey, do you want some extra batteries, and bought those, you might then be backer 3020 for that particular one. So this is, it's obviously helpful. Thank you as well to those who reached out through email and DM to let us know you received your refund. I really do appreciate all of your messages. So this is great, but of course, IGG did state that their funds were limited. So it was vital that Vernon safeguards the funds left over to return in some even way to those backers remaining, which still number just under 8,000 backers, despite the fact that thousands of backers have now been refunded, which amounts to over £1 million. Then, amongst what is the good news for backers getting refunds, a strange pattern started to develop. Backers who were active in court action with Extreme Toys Limited started getting refunds, many of whom had very high backer numbers, well out of sequence with any of the seemingly automated refunds. Then, backers who were the most vocal in the comments section of the campaign page on Indiegogo also started to get refunds, some that hadn't even actually formally requested it because they didn't think there was any point. Again, with seemingly very high backer numbers. What was also out of context from the initial IGG refunds was the fact that their entire investment was being returned, including batteries and controllers, etc. Again, these backer numbers, which we have as individual to each investment and often wildly apart, as I was explaining, were being refunded in the same transaction. So a backer with drone number 200 and the batteries being backer number 4,000 were getting their money back in the same transaction. It seems that these refunds were in fact issued by Vernon Kerswell himself through the Indiegogo system in an attempt to use the crowdfunding service refunds as a cover to silence those backers in UK court action, all those vocal on the campaign page. What were the reasons behind this tactic? And tonight, unfortunately, Vernon, you are showing yourself to show these are correct. Simply to clear the decks and to silence the critics, perhaps especially when you consider once a refund is issued, the backer no longer has access to the comment section of the campaign page. Sadly for Vernon, whatever his reasons were, the backers, as per usual, did not fall for this nonsense, and those backers silenced have simply been replaced with yet more vocal backers demanding action and advertising steps overseas backers can take to access the UK legal system, which, Tony, I know you're in the chat, a big shout out to you for everything you've done for your fellow backers, frankly. My personal issue with these tactics is that they are fundamentally dishonest. To deny the campaign is indeed over and insist it was suspended in error, whilst also posting many comments to backers on the campaign page insisting refunds cannot happen, seems to fly in the face of refunds that Vernon was providing to those open court cases and vocal backers. Is it right or even legal to make such public statements whilst privately acting in the opposite way when it suits you? I don't see how that is particularly acting in the best interests of your backers under your agreement, or actually, frankly, acting properly as a director of a UK limited company. Vernon then continued to insist through comments on IGG that an update would be coming soon and they were in talks with the crowdfunding platform to reopen the campaign, mainly because they were so close to delivery. A promise backers are all too used to hearing. Then we entered a period of erratic and sporadic comments from the campaign owner, eventually leading to a change in tactic again. Comments are now bear in mind, I'm actually reading off a ready-made script here. So this just fits with this microdrone support nonsense account that is now in the chat, frankly. Comments are now specifically signed off by someone called Lydia. The comments are pretty much copy and paste and hark back to the insistence that the campaign faltered due to COVID and they were working hard to still deliver through talks with IGG, and an update will follow soon. During my second interview a year ago with Vernon Kerswell, I confronted him over the fact that he was signing the page updates from a long list of names of the team working on the Microdrone 4.0 campaign. Following the interview segment, he decided to drop using the names, perhaps partially because he confirmed that amongst the names were former employees, including an intern who had left a year prior to the interview. Now, the reason I'm going to raise this is because Lydia was on that list. Now, I actually need to just... Our file, which I was going to play here, actually has failed. So let me just reload another version of it. Bear with me just 1 second, people. Is that the same for Lydia?
So Lydia actually also works with customers. She's in customer service, and last year she worked here in the office, and she's moved to Italy now, because she's originally from Italy. Right. And she lives in Italy now, and but still is in charge of customer service. So anytime you contact our team, you'll always hear from Lydia in Italy.
Is she working as consultant now that she's back in Italy, or is she still a full-time employee?
Well, she works as customer service. So I tend to work with people on not necessarily full-time or part-time, so okay. it varies with what's happening. So if we need more work, more help.
So that confirms who Lydia was to the company. She is somebody who lives in Italy, is a part-time consultant who handles their customer services. So bear in mind as well, within that chat, he actually did talk about the fact that he had somebody who was an intern still signing the updates that actually hadn't worked for the company for a year. So not only was it an unpaid intern, it was actually someone who hadn't even been there for a year, but he was still signing the updates from that person. So despite the fact that we have heard nothing from Lydia for many months on the campaign page or anywhere on social media, Vernon Kerswell, director of Extreme Toys Limited and campaign owner, feels it is now the appropriate time to leave responding to backers to a consultant customer service representative based in Italy. There's nothing wrong with this as such, but this step sounds like someone who is taking the issues of backers not particularly seriously during the most sensitive and important time of the campaign. It could be argued that this is an attempt from Vernon Kerswell to limit the amount of times his name is associated with the campaign. How apt tonight when we then have Vernon coming into the chat with a completely different name. We're now left with a customer services representative who is not even based in the same country as the head office in Wimbledon, and therefore has limited access to information or can themselves be sure as to what is really happening at the head office. The tactics of silencing vocal backers and allegedly stepping back from customer service to the side of things could be seen as a tactic to weaken the association with the name Vernon Kerswell and the campaign itself. This is something which other campaign owners have sought to do. They essentially start to have other names pop up and very sort of, Microdrone or whatever that company is, rather than the person's name. And that essentially means that when they do decide that things go wrong, it isn't Vernon Kerswell in the headlines as such, although of course he is still listed as the campaign owner. So certainly looking back at the previous campaign as well, Microdrone 3.0, once the often faulty drone was shipped to backers, the only responses complaining backers received on that campaign were from a nameless poster asking them to email support@account. I say Vernon has allegedly stepped back from answering because we have no evidence Lydia is actually answering these comments, and Vernon has previously been caught out signing campaign updates from people who no longer work for the campaign, including Lydia, that he then stopped using her name on a campaign update signature after he was called out on it to say actually she's now back in Italy. So next, and as I say, it's kismet, frankly, Vernon, that you're here under a completely different name. It is obvious what you're doing, I'm afraid. And also the fact the sheer amount of times that you're commenting in the chat is if this wasn't so serious, it would almost be funny. Next, I want to talk about the constant promises since the campaign was suspended from Vernon Kerswell that an app update would be posted soon. He's even done it very kindly in the chat tonight. This appears to be a false promise yet again, not only because, of course, no update has happened, but also because during my conversations with the owner of another failed IGG campaign who we tracked down, one who returned 90% of initial funds to their backers, they informed me that once the IGG page confirming suspension was made, the campaign owner was no longer had the ability to post updates because the campaign is by all intents and purposes over in the eyes of IGG. So when Vernon promises an update, this is more lies, frankly, from a desperate campaign owner. Perhaps Vernon, you're in the chat tonight. Perhaps you'd like to prove this statement to be wrong by posting a simple update on the campaign page. How about you do that tonight? Or is it the case, as being reported to Geeksvana by another campaign owner, that the MD4 campaign account is limited to posting and answering comments now? So where does this leave us? What next? Despite the promises of updates and information sent since the suspension in September, we now find ourselves in November again asking for Indiegogo to act. I've sent a letter once again to the company requesting that they monitor the communication happening on the campaign page and step in where and if false claims of renewing the campaign through IGG are made. It is important that the campaign owner is refocused by them as to the reality of the situation, and that IGG do not simply walk away now that they have made refunds and suspended the account. It's important that they act to protect the nearly 9,000 backers with over £1 million invested in the campaign still. If talks have ended, which after the amount of time has passed, I can only assume they have, then please Indiegogo follow up with some form of public statement to deny Vernon the wiggle room to continue to kick the can down the road. If the campaign and the production of MD4 is over, then he must, under the terms of his agreement with you, safeguard the remaining funds and look to provide a fair and even refund policy. Recently, IGG have announced that they will be placing projects under more scrutiny. I don't know if anybody else saw this. It's actually together with another crowdfunding website that they're launching this. The idea behind it is really to ensure that there is more scrutiny and to ensure only genuine projects, their words, are launched on their platform. I would welcome this, but with the caveat that that really should have already been in place. However, with the policy in place now, it is even more vital that Indiegogo look to protect the backers of the Microdrone 4.0 campaign and prevent any misinformation and misleading statements from being made on their portal. I'd be very interested as well to hear from Indiegogo as to whether or not we would see the Microdrone 4 campaign still getting authorized on their site now, frankly. So that's my update. That's my call to action, as it were. Please, everybody, after this show, we haven't finished yet because I'm going to go through the chat in a moment for obvious reasons. But I would very much like everybody to share the link for this show afterwards and, tweet it out, put it on Instagram and at Indiegogo. Let's make sure they hear this. Let's make sure they hear the call to action, that another round of action is required from them because your campaign owner still isn't doing the right thing, still isn't following your own campaign update made many weeks ago now. Okay, so let's go through the chat here. So Microdrone support. Again, Vernon. Extreme Flyers strongly condemns Geeksvana naming staff and encouraging people to attack or make staff feel uncomfortable. We have never, ever encouraged people to attack. I think your actions may have done that. Also, we have actually never named staff. The staff we have named have been named by you. You are signing the campaign updates from these people. I called you out on it in the second interview and you blithered along for several minutes trying to explain who these different people were. And then when we asked you who the actual people were that do now work for there, the 10 or 12 people that you claimed were part of the team, you couldn't give any information. A bit like when we asked you about the price, frankly. Extreme Flyers, well, it's actually Extreme Toys Limited, but okay, Extreme Flyers trading as Extreme Toys Limited does not tolerate abuse, harassment, and we would like to remind Geeksvana that such attempts to intimidate staff is not okay. We're not intimidating staff. And stop talking as if you're some kind of corporate body. Okay, Vernon? It is you and a customer services representative part-time in Italy. I've just played the clip to show exactly what's going on there. And also, frankly, any psychology look at this would actually see that your posting habits with this account tonight is exactly where you would be. Droning on, hi Ash, good to see you. Vernon is as close to delivering flying drones as I am to delivering a human-sized flying potato from my nostril. Yeah, I'd actually have more faith if you said you could do that, Ash. And it's great to see Ash in the chat. We miss you, Ash. Come back. Bring droning on back. We want more drone updates. Thank you. And a big shout out to Ash as well. He managed to get the national press here in the UK involved in this story, and also created an absolutely fantastic video, which really did put a lot of focus and a lot of pressure on Vernon at the time. Again, microdrone support. Again, Vernon, why are you attempting to provide updates here when you haven't done so on your own page? When the Lydia sign off is simply just cutting and pasting, we're very sorry, we're talking to Indiegogo, and yet you come here again to provide any kind of answers. The funds raised for making Microdrone 4.0 is for production and delivery to backers. Any accusations suggesting otherwise are false. I haven't suggested that. I haven't suggested you're spending the money anywhere else. What I am stating absolutely categorically is that once Indiegogo suspended your account, as they say in their own update, you are therefore, under their terms and conditions, obliged to provide refunds, not to spend the next several weeks in negotiations with them. You are obliged by the terms and conditions to start refunds, as were they, and hence they did them very, very quickly. It's not for you to wonder who gets what, etc. As long as it is a fair policy. And anybody else that's still owing money, well, that's up to them to unfortunately take action, which is open to them, isn't it? Microdrone support 4.0, microdrone support, extreme flyers strongly condemns Geeksvana making false allegations. Well, just after the last show, we received a takedown request from Vernon Kerswell of Extreme Toys Limited that threatened, if the video wasn't taken down the following day, my last update, that he would take immediate legal action. Once again, no teeth. Come and take legal action if you think it. Come and prove it. If you think that anything I'm saying is even remotely false, step forward and provide the proof. Microdrone support again in the chat. Extreme Flyers condemns for naming stuff and encouraging people to attack. Yeah, again, you're now starting to copy and paste, which is bizarre. Copy and paste one again. You cannot say I'm not giving you, despite the fact that you didn't answer your right to reply for this, I'm not just blocking you in the chat the way that you have blocked backers by providing refunds to those that are more vocal. We completely understand the frustration about the delay and can only apologise for the delays which have occurred. It's past that. You are now legally and contractually obliged to provide refunds. Sorry. We ask that you stop spreading false information. Show me false information that we're spreading. And again, just cutting and pasting. The same nonsense. And unfortunately, Vernon, what you don't see is all this is doing is frankly creating more evidence. You couldn't possibly have come into the chat tonight under this new name more perfectly when I am pointing out to people that you are trying to distance your name from the campaign by hiding behind either a false customer service name or behind a part-time customer service rep based in Italy. And now you're doing it here again with the microdrone support thing rather than coming in under your own name. It's interesting, very interesting. And again, lots and lots of attack or make staff feel uncomfortable again. Intimidate staff is not okay. Yeah, you're hiding behind it. You're trying something which just isn't going to work, unfortunately. Yeah, cut and paste. Sadly, Vernon, you're not answering any of the things which we have actually raised in this. We are not intimidating or anything else to the staff. You don't have any staff for a start. You have consultants. Extreme Flyers does not tolerate abuse, harassment, and we would like to remind Geeksvana that such attempts to intimidate staff is not okay. We're not intimidating staff. We're answering things which you have done. We're answering, and all of these names are people that you put into the public domain. And frankly, Ethan, your wife, Ethan Kerswell, is a fellow director publicly listed at Companies House. So I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. Geeksvana has no information relevant to this campaign. Okay, that's your opinion. I understand that. We have another couple here. It's bizarre. It is bizarre, frankly. We ask that you stop spreading false information. Yeah, it's just the same thing being posted again and again. Mike Drennan, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thanks for all your hard work on this, Sean. Mike, Mike thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. Mike Drennan is a great guy. I've got to know him very well. He is one of the backers of Microdrone 4.0, and in fact, he's now going to be one of the co-hosts on Geeksvana. That's how much we've got to know your backers and got to know what a great bunch they are. He's going to be co-hosting the NASA and SpaceX focus shows, which I'm really looking forward to doing with you. Hopefully we'll get to do one this weekend, as long as the launch isn't put back again. But I want to say thank you to everybody else as well that's joined the show and that is backing us. Yeah, exactly. Johnny DRC. What false information, Vernon? You know, Mike Drennan showing he's been a member for 18 months, subscribing to a source of truth for 18 months. Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Microdrone support. You can almost read them, just rewind. I need a clip now. I need to clip these because they're just being cut and paste. Extreme Flyers does not tolerate abuse, harassment, and we would like to remind Geeksvana that such attempts to intimidate staff is not okay. We're not intimidating anybody, unfortunately. We've shown that. Move on. Oh, a new comment. As you are aware, COVID has knocked timelines back for business around the world, including our own, which has not helped ease those frustrations. Nonsense. COVID was a terrible, terrible worldwide pandemic, and it is something which has impacted everybody, absolutely everybody. It is, and I'm not denying it will have, I'm sure, especially as your product's being produced in China, I'm absolutely sure will have had an impact. However, you were promising delivery before COVID actually happened. You were telling people in your own marketing video, which was created right at the beginning, that you were production ready. It's in your own words. In many of our videos before, it's in your absolutely own words. So unfortunately, you cannot blame COVID for this, Vernon. And I know it is the one thing that you love to hark back to, but unfortunately, it's just not there. You have also, since the COVID issues and since things that have actually happened to go on, that you will, I've just seen someone's comment that made me smile. It just isn't plausible, Vernon, frankly, because since then you keep saying we're a few weeks from delivery. We're a few weeks from delivery. Just before your campaign was suspended by Indiegogo, you actually stated we are days away from shipping on Twitter and on the comments page. It's all still there, so it's all still 100% there. The one that made me smile was Desmond Hawkins. Hi, Desmond. Geeksvana, get ready for a request from Vernon to get a cut from your super chats, since you wouldn't have started this stream without MD4. Hey, yeah, you know, I wouldn't put it past him, frankly. And Grainful, great to see you. Eddie Nunez, great to see you as well, sir. Geeksvana out here kicking ass. Well, we're trying to, sir. Kai, who is one of the backers, the company known to be inferior to Extreme Liars, will release its 4th new drone tomorrow, while thronging of drone business did not release a single one. The only thing he's epic is failing. Yes, I mean, and that's the thing, isn't it? Vernon always talks about how inferior DJI is and how DJI are out to get him and how I'm paid by DJI. I mean, if anybody doubted whether or not I'm paid by DJI, I think my releases in the last couple of weeks would 110% tell you that DJI don't like me very much, frankly. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible how that happens. Ray Kelly, Sean, I'm looking forward to your Spin Up pre-show. So am I, Ray, and thank you for mentioning that. We will be live on Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. UK, which is 8 a.m. Eastern time for the Spin Up pre-show. Really looking forward to that. And Microdrone support, again, we ask that you stop spreading false information. Well, again, if you would like to point out anything that you feel is actually false information and provide any evidence whatsoever, then feel free. And you know the things I don't say online, the things I hold back from saying. We both know it. I'm looking at you, Vernon, and we both know the information that people hold on you, that because they are good people, still don't put everything out there, frankly. We stick to the absolute facts of what we can prove. And everything I've said tonight, we can 100% prove. I'm afraid everything we've said throughout this campaign. Epstein didn't kill himself. Yeah, you're an honest reviewer, Geeksvana. Well, I didn't realize, I didn't actually upload that video intending for it to quite have that reaction. It was just a video for my viewers, mainly because I had done an unboxing and been so particularly positive about this little camera that I wanted to make sure that very quickly the issues were put out there, frankly. Failsafe FPV, get Vernon on the show so he can't hide behind a screen. We do offer it. We did give him 2 full interviews as well, and sadly, it isn't all that happened in those 2 interviews is a lot more promises that were broken and a lot more information put out. Microdrone support, Sean, what you're saying is not okay. Well, I think we know that that's your opinion, Vernon. Vernon will not speak to you because you made a video that made personal attacks and accusations that are not true. Okay, so now we're going to sit and pretend that it isn't Vernon typing behind the account. Would you like to tell us who it is, perhaps, or are you too afraid of personal attack? So, Microdrone Support, you are now here representing a UK limited company discussing a major issue about the very existence of your company. Perhaps you would like to confirm to everybody who you are. We're aware of a number of false accusations being made by Geeksvana. Name one. Name a couple. Come on. Matthew Osborne Media, hi. Is he speaking in third person now? Yes. I also find it galling, frankly, that when we put a live show on here, it almost becomes, which is why, and excuse me for not bringing the Microdrone support conversations into things sooner on, but I wanted to get through the body of the video because I would love Indiegogo to see that and to see what is still happening as far as the tactics are concerned, in their name, because it's happening on their campaign page still. But yes, we wanted to get through that message. So apologies that we didn't go back and bring, we did spot them commenting. And again, just the same cut and paste, copy and paste, which again is exactly what's happening over on the campaign page as well. So there we go. So again, the call to action is really twofold for you, Microdrone support, and for Vernon. Put an update on your page, show that you are still in control. I would happily, if you tell me you've done it, I would happily refresh this page and show that you have put any kind of update on your page. No problem at all. I would be more than happy, delighted to show that you have control of your page. Sadly, I don't think that is actually the situation right now. And the second call to action is to talk to Indiegogo and again ask, you have recently put out a statement saying that yourselves and another crowdfunding campaign, I think it might have been Kickstarter, if it isn't, I apologize, are essentially creating a new thing, a new code of conduct to increase the level of scrutiny that campaigns are put under. So it's not just anybody with any idea can get funding. You actually have to be able to show that it is a workable idea and that you are getting somewhere. That is great. It's sad that that wasn't already the case, frankly, but because you are now doing that for the new ones, I ask you to essentially backdate that to protect the backers of this campaign and stop Vernon from putting, or Lydia or whoever, the campaign owner Vernon Kerswell, and on behalf of him, putting false information and misinformation onto the comments page. Frankly, the fact that you are here, Vernon, under an assumed name, and I tonight have said, I think Vernon is now running away from this and trying not to use his real name and his own name as much as possible. You've just 100% proven the point. Okay, here we go. The correct information will be posted on the project page in an update. Could you tell us when, please, Microdrone support? Okay, let's give you a few seconds on that. 619 OTA, Sean, feel free to show that message I sent you on Instagram showing I got a refund. Let me grab my phone. Just while we give Microdrone due time to be able to tell us exactly when such a update will be coming. Oh, yes, it is here. Yes, indeed. Showing yet another refund, which is fantastic news. And again, I am more than delighted for the backers who have received refunds. It is fantastic. And thank you all so much for your kind comments and messages. Tony Nors, who has done so much for this. Tony, I actually need to make you a moderator very quickly. Could you pop your email address in the chat for me? Let's make the chat stop a moment, because anyone that's watching this on the rerun, add moderator. I had to concentrate while I was doing that, because add moderator and block the person is right next to each other on a tiny little list on my screen. So could you please pop your email address in the chat if you don't mind? If you email Tony, he's actually able to send you a pack which will help you either in the UK or overseas to open county court action against the Microdrone 4.0 campaign, Extreme Toys Limited. Requesting personal data from backers by promising refunds is not legitimate and will be reported to Indiegogo. Okay. Firstly, I have no contract with Indiegogo. Any data that I handle is handled correctly under GDPR, and in fact, international data protection as well, because we have viewers that email us from all over the world. So we're 100% correct on that, but thank you for checking. But by promising refunds is not legitimate. I don't promise refunds. That's part of the issue, and that's part of my fear, is that you're not safeguarding the funds. There are going to be people that are going to lose out of this, but the simple fact is there is not a drone coming. There is no Microdrone 4 coming. If it was coming, you would have been screaming the doors down. You would have been smashing the doors in at Indiegogo, showing them all the evidence, showing them the drone. But instead, they actually state in their update, where they had to take your page over, that they have not heard from you. So I don't know why you can't see that. It's incredible. They actually state in their own update that they're not getting communication from you. You've even confirmed that on your own page and in communication to me, that the issue was communication. Well, unfortunately, it's not. The funds raised for this is from Microdrone Support, or from Vernon Kerswell. The funds raised for making Microdrone 4.0 is for production and delivery to backers, and the accusations suggesting otherwise are false. We ask that you stop spreading. Again, you're now cutting and pasting something which I haven't even said. I have never said that. There are those that wonder where this money has gone. I do fear it is simply incompetence, and that yes, they did get the production wrong, that runs wrong, and things did fall apart. That's fine. That happens. Incompetence happens. Failure happens. It's happened to all of us, failure, frankly, at some stage or other and at some level or other. But what isn't okay is to continue lying about it and to continue misleading people that something is coming and coming in a few days. What actually annoys me even more than the lies you tell the backers who complain are the backers on the page, the very few and far between ones that say, is this still coming? Am I going to get a drone? And you say, yes, we're still working on it, even now, which I hope, Indiegogo, if you're watching this, you'll take action on that. Microdrone Support, we are speaking with Indiegogo, and the correct information will be posted on the project page. No, it won't. Yes, well, perhaps the correct information will be posted on the page when Indiegogo actually make an update, frankly. That's the only thing we can imagine. So let's just have a very quick look at the campaign page again. So this is the official campaign page as still allegedly run and operated by Indiegogo. Not that they can only comment these days. Thank you, Stephen Rouse, for putting the link to this show in the comments there. I appreciate that. And we'll have a look for some of the answers. So AJ said it is now 3 months since the last update and 2 months since IGG posted. How long will this continue? When will we get proper information about the next actions? More than valid. After so long time, still asking for a little bit more patience is so ridiculous. So please be honest. So again, a backer here who has invested money in you, has believed in you, and all this person wants is honesty. Hi AJ, we're still incredibly focused on getting the drone out to people and are working with IGG now to showcase the current state of the units and stage of production, as we are all determined to get these out. I ask that you please keep faith a bit longer, but feel free to reach out. Here it is again, exactly what happened on the Microdrone 3 campaign, at support@Extreme Flyers if you want to discuss your backing. Now, I am actually just going to find that page very, very quickly. Let me go back to this page. I need some hold music, don't I? Indiegogo. And feel free in the chat, Vernon, to let us know when you're actually going to be putting out the update. It would be fantastic. So again, I've just typed it in. So this is just randomly going on to the Microdrone 3.0. Again, this extremely successful campaign, which has happened before. 12,000, nearly 13,000. Someone there. I'm happy with Microdrone 3.0. Received pretty much on time. A blaster fly, fantastic. And then here, there's actually case judgment paid in full 3 months ago. If you had backed, now this is interesting because I haven't been back for a few months. So this appears that people are actually taking legal action against Vernon for the previous campaign, and that's still happening now. This is a comment from 3 months ago. If you backed MD3 and you never got what you paid for, you can still recover your money from Extreme Flyers. Get a UK Post Office box, ukpost.com, and file a money claim against Extreme Flyers. Many MD4 backers are filing claims against Extreme Flyers. Send an email to thomas@live.b. Excuse that, for a free refund kit containing all necessary documents, procedures, and evidence. MD3 backers, the scam continues from 3 months ago. Again, it isn't Vernon answering anymore. It is people that are, basically just giving a very, very general answer. Never got my gimbal. This is from 2 years ago. Again, this campaign is now complete. So someone's saying, since 4 years, no response, no shipping yet. It sucks. That's mean waste of time and money. This campaign is now complete. For any technical support, shipping issues, or general inquiries, please email. And it goes on like that, frankly. 2 years ago, Indiegogo sucks. I've contributed to 18 projects since 2015, and I've had 7 not delivered, 8 not working, and 3 that work. This product has been delivered, and it sucks. There is no recourse against Indiegogo. So buyer beware. Indiegogo has significantly more failures than successes. I'd be much better off waiting for a product to come to market and buy it at the retail price for all the money I've lost with these bleeps. And again, the answer to that, for any technical support, please send it to support@. So I think we're going to start seeing that more and more with this campaign now. I think we are going to start seeing more and more of the case where Vernon himself is actually going to start backing away and no longer doing that. Now, one thing that's interesting, has Vernon actually... Okay, I am going to call you out here, Vernon, because I'm afraid your other account, hence I'm able to tag you in the chat, is actually signed in to this live stream. So as well as the Microdrone support, which is showing, if everybody, you can go in and you can @ Vernon Kerswell, and you'll see that he comes up as an active person in the chat. So there you go. I'm afraid the whole thing of the Microdrone support not being Vernon, and we ask you to stop spreading false information, etc. You're not even admitting that you're signed in twice on the computer, frankly. Slightly sad, isn't it? Okay, so there we go. Again, Indiegogo, if you're watching this, please take some action. It seems the Microdrone 3.0 backers would also like to hear something as well. And yeah, let's take some action to bring this entire thing back to reality so that we can actually do something about it, frankly. Okay, so we are going to keep on this. We have sent the letter into Indiegogo. We are also, as we always are here at Geeksvana, following this story, and there's lots of other things that we are doing in the background to try and bring about a resolution and to stop this from happening again, particularly with Extreme Toys Limited. This is a case I will not drop, frankly, and one which we will pursue to the end. So for the next update, I will post in the Facebook group again. I will continue to give any updates that I can. You know where I am, Sean@geeksvana.com if you've got questions. Always happy to hear from backers, and I always answer as quickly as I can. But until the next update on Microdrone 4.0, I'll see you next time on Geeksvana Live. Thank you, everybody. Just very quickly, sorry everybody. Microdrone support, there is a fake account above called Vernon Kerswell. Vernon will not speak to you because you made a video that made personal attacks and accusations that are not true. Sadly, we've actually got that tagged. I do have very good software and we have that account tagged. So on my screen to my left here, I do know that that is the same account that has made many comments. I'm able to pull accounts up and show who made what comments on what date. So sorry people.